Bull, this got brought up on the show a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we've been saving it for a day where we needed something to talk about, and I think today's the perfect day to talk about it.
Yeah.
The AFC North's a damn gauntlet. All 4 teams in the AFC North, at least in their respective fan bases, think that their own team should be really, really good this year. There's not an easy game in the AFC North.
Nope.
No matter how good or bad you think the other 3 teams are outside of Cleveland. When you look at this division, where do the Browns stack compared to Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh?
Personally, for me, I think, I think Cincinnati's up here, and I think the other 3 are pretty close. I think the Browns are the best of the other 3. I'm trying not to be biased about that because I hate the Steelers and Ravens. But I think to me, it's the Bengals, then the Browns. I think it's very close between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. I'm leaning Baltimore 3 and Pittsburgh 4. But honestly, you could make a case. I think you could make a case for any team finishing first because one of the other 3 teams could end up surprising and being better than the Bengals. And I think you could make a case for 3 of the 4 teams, not the Bengals, finishing last, which is how good. That's just how I see it. That's how good this division is. But if you ask me today to predict the order of finish, I would say Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Steelers. And I don't think the Steelers are bad, obviously. They're going to be around 500. But if I had their quarterback is the one I trust the least.
Who are we talking about?
Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So that's why I put them last.
Well,
Tyvis.
So if we going off a roster, rosters, then the Browns will be number 1. Now, when I look at it, to be honest, obviously you got to give Cincinnati their credit and their respect because they won this division the last couple of years. But I'm telling y'all right now, the fact that they replacing 3 dudes in their secondary, it scares the heck out of me. And I think they're going to be in more shootouts than they've been in the past few years. And with that being said, I mean, top to bottom, I think the Browns they should and they could win this division. And if they don't, it's really a shame.
Should, I don't agree with.
They should. No, they should be able to win this division. I mean, because they really have.
Be able to win it?
Yeah, to be able to win it. I ain't going to say that. I'm not. Nothing is for sure.
Of course they should be able to win.
They should be able to win this division. It's pretty much wide open. The Baltimore thing scares me because they have no D-line. And we was a victim of that last year, and we seen how things went for us. And then Pittsburgh was scared.
Well, also with Baltimore,
they got a whole new.
They're changing the offense.
Yeah, they got a whole new offense. And
like?
When you get an offense like that, I think it takes a little time to gel. I mean, I think they're gonna be really heavy dependent on Mark Andrews, and if Zay Flowers is who they think he's going to be, it'll keep them in games. I'm not really sure on the Odell thing. I think Odell can be productive still. I still think he's still a good athlete and still explosive and all those things. But I'm not ready to say he's the number 1 guy because we seen that song and dance and it really wasn't working out. There was a lot of excuses and all that. But Pittsburgh, I mean, they got Pat Pete and they got Joey Porter Jr. at corner. Depending on what Pat Pete got left in the tank, if he's still like Arizona Pat Pete, then or maybe even Minnesota Vikings Pat Pete was good. Joey Porter, there's going to be some growing pains there. But offensively, I think that they stacked and good enough to compete. Because Kenny Pickett, believe it or not, they put enough around him that he can be successful. He just can't mess it up.
We all know they're good. If they play the season 100 times, which team finishes first the most?
If they played the season 100 times.
That's how I do my predictions. They played 100
The Browns.
Times. So you say Browns 1, who's 2?
The Bengals.
Bengals 2, who's 3?
Ravens.
All right, so you're saying Browns, Bengals, Ravens, Steelers.
No. Steelers, third.
Steelers, Ravens.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dang.
Gee, what do you got?
I think on talent, as I look at it, I think all 3 of the teams at the top got comparable talent. When you look at the Bengals, you look at the Ravens, and you look at the Browns. As constituted right now, I would say that I like the Browns' talent more than I like the Ravens. And if I had held a gun to my head, I probably would say I like their talent a little better than the Bengals. However, I'm not going to choose them over the Bengals because the Bengals have proved it the last couple of years. And until said they do what they need to do, I can't just put you you ain't gonna go from worst to first, right? Could they win the division? Sure, but you guys have eloquently put that. They can, because they do have the talent. So I got the Bengals at 1. Now, I am kind of scared about that calf injury. I had a calf injury in high school, and
that changes the whole thing. I mean, that's how important quarterback is, right? If Joe Burrow didn't play the whole season, the Bengals 100% would finish last.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. If Deshaun Watson doesn't play the whole season, Browns 100% finish last.
Lamar Jackson.
Same thing with Lamar Jackson.
No. The Browns got DTR.
Oh, D-T-R.
Aura. You got third.
You got to say it like the older folks.
So third, this is tough. Now, I would, between second and third, I still had the Ravens and I got the Browns. Now, the reason I got the Ravens there to a certain extent is this. They just always are in the mix. I've never seen a bad Ravens year. And even when the Ravens haven't been that good, they still find a way to beat the Browns at least one game, right? And I like they got the best kicking game. They got the best special teams in the division. To me,
that's true.
So special teams is important.
The Browns got the worst kicking situation.
Well, they got the worst.
Yeah.
So if you got the worst and they got the best kicker of all time, that counts. So, but here's what I'm going to say. I'll say that Deshaun Watson is better. I think what you'll see is if you got a vertical passing threat, Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson, you'll start to see the levels. Deshaun Watson will play much better in the passing game. I think overall, the Browns' defensive line is going to show up and show out. And like I've said multiple times, I think Myles Garrett breaks the sack record this year. He breaks it, and it's quite easy.
So what's that order you got?
I got the Bengals 1. I got the Browns 2. I believe both of those guys make the playoffs if Joe Burrow's there. I got the Ravens coming in at 3rd, but I think they still have a above 500 record. And then I got the Steelers. The Steelers to me ain't even that close, like just because of that guy. I don't like his helmet. I don't like his arms, his sleeves. He has a nasty face mask. He needs to go tanning. This man is not good.
He needs to go tanning.
Like how are you that pale?
I don't. Everybody is completely convinced on Kenny Pickett. I don't see it.
I don't understand.
I don't get it. I also think
he ain't bad, man.
I also think Najee Harris is the most overrated back in the NFL.
I would never take him in fantasy ever again.
Yeah, the numbers bear it out.
The only reason he's decent at fantasy is because he gets a lot of touches. But he doesn't do much with them.
Well, last year he was dealing with the Liz Frank injury, so
yeah, all right.
That could bring an elephant down. So.
I just don't like. I just don't like the Steelers very much.
What's the behind the glass predictions for the division?
Well, Earl ran upstairs, so he had to. Was having some internet issues down here, so Earl's upstairs. Director Anthony's directing and doesn't have a mic, so I'll give you guys what I think, and then I have a question for you guys, and I also have PCC read, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But I do think what G said is spot on. I think on paper, in my opinion, the Browns, the Bengals, and the Ravens rosters are all relatively similar in terms of talent, with Pittsburgh being one step back. Not a major drop-off, but a step back.
I don't agree with that. I think the Bengals and Browns are more talented than the Ravens.
How can y'all say that when Pittsburgh got...
And I don't think it's a big drop to the Steelers
If
either.
not the best, they're one of the most disruptive game records on their team.
It's because of the quarterback. I don't believe in Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
At all.
Okay.
And if you don't have a quarterback in this division,
that's fair.
To me, that is enough of, even if the rest of the 52 guys on the team are similar in talent, I do believe in Deshaun Watson. I do not believe in Kenny Pickett. To me, that's enough of a differentiator to say they're not.
The Steelers have a lot of talent. I mean, they're a talented team.
That's what I'm saying.
But their quarterbacks.
But that many times, we just watched this song and dance last season. We seen it with Detroit. We seen it with Miami. We seen it with Philly. They went and got all these guys to complement their quarterback to find out if the quarterback the guy.
Kenny Pickett's and he was good able to do it. The Steelers could be as good as anybody else in the division.
And he's looked phenomenal in preseason. And once again, it is preseason, and that's the question I wanted to ask you guys. Anthony, you can take the graphic full here, but in the preseason, he's completing 80% of his passes, has a near perfect 149 QBR, thrown 2 touchdowns, hasn't turned the ball over. It's the preseason. I know it means nothing.
He threw like 10 passes.
Yeah,
no. Once again, I understand preseason. We haven't made a big deal of anything good or bad in the preseason, but he's obviously played well. Has what you've seen from him in the preseason
0.
and the way that people in Pittsburgh, including our friend Aditi,
No, they're biased. Not Aditi, but the rest of them are biased.
So here's the thing. I asked you this question.
Yeah.
DTR looks better than him in the preseason.
Yeah, right.
So is DTR cold? Is he super cold?
Well, a lot of people would say yes.
But that's
And
the
they're
point.
crazy.
They would
That's
say
the point.
yes.
So if we say who better, Kenny Pickett or DTR, you had two people in the fan bases being like, no, he colder. But how you gonna say Kenny Pickett looked good, but just diminish what DTR did?
Well,
and Kenny Pickett is a one.
if anything, you would stand more on. Well, first of all,
Kenny Pickett's played with the one.
I'm about to say
DTR.
that's the biggest factor here is that one of them is going up against starters.
Yeah.
The other has not.
Right.
Now the other one, yes, he has played over.
Has any starters been playing?
For who?
The rest of the team starters.
A little bit, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, I ain't seen no
But
starters on the Browns.
Pittsburgh starters played every game.
But in
But
fair,
it's the other team playing
I
starters.
think Kansas City starters
I'm sure
played
they have,
every game.
But to be fair to DTR, he's also playing with third stringers.
What that's supposed to mean?
He doesn't have the first team offensive line blocking for him.
I know he's got Austin Watkins, who's the second coming of
Thank
Jerry
you.
Rice out there.
Thank you.
Well,
that
not
case-
even make the team.
By the
What
way,
did you just say?
he's
He's
gonna
not
play.
guaranteed to make a team.
Oh,
Stop it.
He's playing.
He can sit out. He can never take another snap in the preseason and he's good.
I think the most fascinating question to me is who's got the better roster, Cincinnati or Cleveland? And
Cleveland.
No, but are you analyzing Cincinnati's roster like you're analyzing Cleveland's roster?
Yes,
okay.
I am.
Let's look at. I think it's fascinating.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Which one would you rather go in the season as your weakness? Your secondary or your linebackers?
I'm not convinced that the Bengals secondary.
That's
is a
not the
weakness.
question. That wasn't the question.
Yes, I'd rather have the linebackers as a weakness.
Okay.
But I don't believe that the Bengals secondary
the
is a
defense
weakness.
rest.
I like Hendrickson. I like Sam Hubbard. Reader is really good.
The Bengals and Browns both have good defensive lines. The Browns' defensive line may have more upside, but the Bengals' defensive line has played together for years. So they have the chemistry. Obviously Myles Garrett's better than anybody the Bengals have on the D line.
Mm-hmm.
But the Bengals have good depth and chemistry. They've played together, all together. There's nobody new. I mean, they got a rookie on there, but he's only one guy.
Let's go top to bottom real quick. We'll have this conversation
Yeah.
out loud. At the quarterback position, not Watson versus Burrow. You're looking at the whole room, but it's really Watson versus Burrow.
No,
who are you taking between those? I'm going to take a tally, and we'll go through this
That's
position by
blasphemy.
position.
Yeah, come on. That's not.
So we got Burrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Running back, obviously taking Chubb over Mixon.
Okay.
Receivers?
Cincinnati.
I mean, come on.
Cincinnati.
Well, I'm asking just so we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
I'm doing
Tight
this for an
end is
exercise.
Browns.
So far through three,
Yeah.
it's 2 for Cincinnati.
You can't
1
look
for
at it as
Cleveland.
2 for 2 because the quarterback is more important than the tight end.
We'll give if it
Yeah.
was that, we'll give the edge
Yeah,
to
yeah.
Cincinnati because it is a quarterback.
Offensive line is interesting. I think the Browns is better, but I don't think there's a big gap anymore between the two. The Bengals' offensive line's gotten better over the last 2 years.
Who they get? Didn't they get
They
old
got-
boy
but
from
it-
Kansas City?
it got-
Well, let's look at the line. You'd rather have Orlando Brown at left tackle than Jedrick Wills.
Yes.
Okay? Left guard, big edge Browns. You got Bitonio over, I forgot their left
The fact
tackle.
you can't think of it, massive.
Yeah,
edge.
he was a rookie last year. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Center, to me, is a wash. Pochich had a nice year. The Bengals center.
You talking about Pro Bowler Ethan Pochich?
Yeah, I think it's a wash at center. Even though the Bengals had a good center last year.
One
too.
went to the Pro Bowl, the other one didn't.
Fair. I'm just giving you my opinion. I think it's a wash. Right guard is also a wash. Kappa had a good year for the Bengals. Teller, good, banged up. Right tackle, I'll give the edge to the Browns.
So the Browns win.
Conklin over.
I get a slight edge.
It's edge Browns on the line, but
Yeah.
the Browns have had a big gap on the offensive line. It's not as big as
Did
it
we
used
do
to be.
tight ends? Did you guys give an edge?
Yeah.
to
Tight
tight
end is to the Browns.
Yeah.
Browns.
Defensive tackle's fascinating.
No, it's not. It's DJ Reader.
I meant defensive line. So
Oh, I thought I was just saying.
I think the Browns. I think the Browns have the best defensive line in the game.
Seattle's. I can't say
I
that
don't
they haven't done
disagree.
anything.
What? That it's
They
not.
haven't done anything as a team. As a
Okay,
unit.
okay.
We got
We got-
statistically, and when you look at it,
The way-
according to PFF grades,
I mean,
Yeah.
listen.
the Browns have the best defensive
Listen
line.
to me. This is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
If the twos is out there getting after these dudes, the twos and threes is getting at,
Yeah.
then the ones better. It better not look
But the
no
Bengals
different.
are significantly better than the Browns at defensive tackle.
I don't know if I'd say significant. DJ Reader's the best of
top
anybody.
5 defensive tackle.
Yeah.
But is Tomlinson and Shelby Harris
I'm
2 and 3 if you were drafting just defensive tackles?
Tomlinson and what's the name are in the top 13.
Shelby Harris.
Shelby Harris the top 13.
Yeah, you're basing that only on last year's PFF grade only.
It's the only thing I can go off of.
So D-line, who you giving it to? You got to give it to the Browns. One has Myles Garrett, the other one doesn't.
I give the Browns a slight edge. I give the Browns
linebackers, they ain't even no question.
Linebackers, Bengals are way better.
And secondary is the Browns, so I don't know what we talking about.
And special teams.
Oh, that's Cincinnati, yeah.
So that means there's 9 positions. And coaching, who are you giving the coaching edge to?
I got to give it to Zach Taylor.
No.
One guy's won the Super Bowl in the AFC Championship game twice. One guy hasn't.
No.
One guy did win Coach of the Year.
We have 3 people voting.
Let's
so
call
we'll
a spade a spade.
Yeah.
If Joe Burrow wasn't the quarterback, Zach Taylor would have been fired years ago. They wanted him out of there at the beginning of
last year. Yeah, but Mike Brown doesn't
year.
fire anybody. You know that.
That's true.
Marvin Lewis was in a playoff game for 17 years and never fired him.
Here's the thing. It is very, and this is why this division is the best division of football. It all depends on
It's very close.
What varying degrees of Deshaun Watson you have. Because Joe Burrow is Joe Burrow. He's going to be who he is, I believe, regardless. Deshaun Watson, if he comes out and he is 90% of what he was,
yeah, then I'd give the edge to the Browns.
But if he comes back 75% of what he was,
then the edge to the Bengals.
I'm going to the Bengals.
It's really close.
So real quick, and this will prove it.
Yeah.
Real quick, who are we giving the coaching?
I actually give coaching staff to the Browns.
I was about to say the Browns did what they were supposed to do.
The Browns.
All right, so that means we went through 10 categories.
Yeah.
Now, granted, the varying degrees of the difference in each one is not being counted, just based on who you get the edge. The Browns had 6. Cincinnati had 4.
Right.
I don't know.
But quarterback overrides so much.
I'm just saying that's
really
where the numbers fell out.
Who's the more talented team comes down to how good Deshaun Watson is.
Yes.
That's the difference because they are like this.
No, listen.
They are like this.
To be honest with you, what it comes down to between the Browns and the Bengals is Cincinnati's O-line versus the Browns' D-line. Because Joe Burrow has been Joe Burrow for all these years, but what's been the determining factor? They haven't been able to protect. The Browns sacked him a lot of times. The Browns forced takeaways with him. Like, that's the deciding factor.
If they play head-to-head.
Yeah, they play head-to-head. I'm talking head-to-head
Why it
games.
seems like the Browns play well against the Bengals.
Yeah.
Right.
They get sacks and they get takeaways. So if that two happens, I don't care if Joe Burrow's Patty Mahomes. If he's doing those two things, it's over.
Right, but you got the head-to-head, but one team's done something in the playoffs, the other team hasn't.
Correct.
That's all that matters, not the head-to-head record.
What if it came down to who the winner of this game wins the division?
Well, then it matters.
All right.
This is why I'm really anxious to see him this week against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Because I want to see what the D line looks like. I mean, I haven't even noticed. Like, if our defensive line was just the 2s and the 3s,
they'd be great.
I would be like, oh wow, our defensive line is great. But we haven't. They won't even play the rest of these guys. Right.
Well,
so we'll see.
And you'll be playing against the Chiefs' offensive line. That's excellent.
Yes, and a quarterback that is.
And that's the thing, and that's why it comes all the way back to what we were kind of talking about a little yesterday, is there's no excuse for the Browns because they are loaded talent-wise.
Yeah.
They're loaded.
Like I said, I give the Browns credit for this offseason. They literally took anything that we got on this show and complained about last year, they fixed it.
Except for linebacker.
Well, they was hurt.
It wasn't like they were that good.
They weren't that good.
You know how they addressed it? They spent the whole OTAs having one of the guys that criticized them the most come up there and coach them up.
Ain't that crazy?
So,
what a pickpocket move.
In fact, I texted DeQuell a couple of days ago. I was chatting.
I would cut him.
We were talking about that. But,
that's so crazy.
DQ misses us, by the way.
I know, man.
DQ's doing good.
I was texting with him, but you're right. Like, they got better at safety.
They got the defensive
way
coordinator.
Better on defensive line.
coordinator. They got a special teams coach who we still need to see
and
some
wide
improvement.
Receiver, they got better.
They still need a burner though. That's the one thing that they missing on that.
I take it back
receiver.
as I go back through these lists. I think the Ravens is a step below the Browns.
Talent-wise.
Yes, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
It's their D-line.
I'll tell you what. I would make an argument that the Steelers overall, minus quarterback, are a more talented roster than the Ravens.
I agree.
Because they got a bunch of young guys they're playing up front.
Yeah, I agree with you.
If you ask me, forget the quarterback, said, rank the teams in order of what talent you want, I would say the Browns are here, the Bengals are here,
and
the Steelers are here, and the Ravens are here, to me.
And it's a very small little but I look at it, the Ravens don't have a dominant offensive line. It's okay. They don't have dominant receivers. They're all right.
Didn't they lose? Wasn't Orlando Brown with the Ravens?
Yeah,
No,
he
had
been.
No, last year he was on the Chiefs.
He was on the Chiefs.
So he left the Ravens to go to the Chiefs, and now he went from the Chiefs to the Bengals.
Yes.
He was traded from the Ravens to the Chiefs.
Okay.
And then he was a free agent.
Because he wanted to play left tackle?
Yes.
And he was playing right with the Ravens?
Yes.
Okay.
They had Ronnie Staley in Baltimore, who was their left tackle.
I got you.
I got one more question for you guys on this, and then we'll get to PCC route and move on. But let's do best case, worst case scenario for the 4 teams in this division. We'll start with the Bengals.
Assuming quarterbacks are healthy.
Assuming health. Yeah, assuming health.
They're not going to be any good without a healthy quarterback.
But let's go at least just record-wise. Assuming Joe Burrow's healthy, we'll start with the Bengals. We'll do all 4. What is the best case scenario for the Bengals record-wise, and what's the worst case scenario?
Best and worst. Go ahead for the Bengals.
13-4.
And the worst?
Because assuming Joe Burrow's health, everybody's healthy.
Assuming
all
all
the
quarterbacks in this are
assuming
healthy.
quarterback health for all 4 teams.
10-7.
So 13-4, 10-7. G, Bengals.
13-4 and 9-8.
Bull?
I mean, I'm right in the same neck of the woods. I was going to say 14-3. I'll say 14-3, 9-8.
That secondary scares me, man. I don't know. Maybe I'm
It's
the
just
only
the safeties. It's not the corners. Who did they lose at corner?
the best trash talker that
He is-
they ever
and
had.
he's playing with Tyreek Hill.
I
which is
know. They need that energy back there.
Let's do the Browns
Okay,
next.
Browns. The Browns
Best
probably
case-
have the biggest variance of any team.
Yeah, they do. The Browns,
disagree with that.
assuming everybody's healthy, they could go easily. They go 14-3.
Easily. Nobody goes easily for
Yeah, they go easily for it. No, they could.
And what's their bottom?
7-10.
Dang, that's crazy. You're right, because that's crazy. It's like so.
Yeah.
Roster wise, 14-3, and one of them is because they resting starters.
I'm gonna go 14-3 at 8-9.
I'm going 13-4, 7-10.
So far,
We're all
Tyvis
kind of on
has
the
the
same.
biggest variance, and I'm
Yeah.
keeping track of this, and that's 7-game variance for the Browns on Tyvis. Let's
Right.
go to the Ravens next. Best case scenario for the Baltimore Ravens.
10-7.
I was gonna say the same thing.
I'll give them 11 wins. So what they saying out there is if Odell Beckham Jr. is the old OBJ, if he's right healed up and Mark Andrews gets to be where they are, the J.K. Dobbins that they used to have when they drafted him out of Ohio State a couple years away from the ACL injury.
Go Bucks.
I'll put them at they really feeling they can get 12 wins.
I got both the Steelers and Ravens 10-7 high, 7-10 low.
I got
Both of them.
So 12 would be 12-5.
5.
And then in lower rank, the wheels could fall off.
That's what I'm saying.
I got them at
6 and 11.
6 and 11.
The Ravens?
Yeah.
6 and 11.
All right.
I should think, in my opinion, the Steelers have the biggest variance because the rest of their roster, as you mentioned, take out the quarterback, is very good. If Kenny Pickett comes out and surprises me in a way I don't see it coming, I do think this team can win 11, 12 games in a world. And worst case, if he is bad like I think, it wouldn't shock me in a worst case scenario for them to go 5-12 this year.
Nah, they're not going. Mike Tomlin's teams ain't going 5-12.
I'm going to say for the Steelers,
Yeah. I got a 10-7, 7-10.
I got 11-6, 8-7. They not. I mean,
8-9.
8-9. No, 9-8. They not going under 500.
Would you go?
I went 10-7, 7-10 for the Steelers.
They're not going under 500. 9-8.
I'm giving them. I think the highest the Steelers can do this year is second. Like if they come second in the division, that's the best they can do. I think they're capped. To be truthful, they're capped. Like I don't. And I know their talent is decent. I like Pickens.
They got a good receiver squad. Pickens, Freiermuth.
I feel you can.
They just got Allen Robinson.
Corpse of Allen Robinson.
They got Deontay Johnson.
He didn't score a touchdown last year.
Shout out to Deontay Johnson. He got another video up with the route guy.
Is he from Toledo?
Yes.
He went to Toledo.
Yeah. But he got the dropsies, though. He be dropping the
All right,
rock.
Mikey.
He be getting open.
What you got?
I got to do a PCC read right now because we asked the internet a question. Whenever we read an answer from the internet, it's brought to us by our dear friends at PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. I asked the YouTube chat, and I did it myself today because Earl's upstairs and Anthony's directing. Where will the Browns finish in the AFC North this season?
I wonder where this poll's going to end up.
I gave 4 options. I gave first, second, third, and fourth.
Yeah.
We had over 700 votes in the poll.
You know what it is.
In fourth place.
Football season for sure.
Fourth.
Oh.
7%.
Right.
Okay.
In third place. Third. With 9%.
Of course.
What do you think finished first?
First place, without a doubt.
Oh, Tyvis said second. Well, Tyvis, you're wrong. You don't know the YouTube chat.
Stop.
Second
Stop.
place,
No,
Steve was second. But it was
bro.
close. 40% said second place. Only 44%.
I'm surprised
said
it was
first
that
place.
close.